All right, folks, welcome to another live Pilot Institute Q&A. Sorry, I'm adjusting my computer here. And, well, we get some cool stuff tonight. Lots of discussions. We have cool gear that I want to show you. We have a discussion about the mini remote ID debacle. I got some more information and I want to share. Yeah, that's a big one to unload and unpack right here. And then we have a new community. Let's get started with that. But first, before we do that, let's talk about who's watching. We have the same folks every week. I recognize those names. Starl Inspires. We have Engineered Drone Services. We have Rob Droner. We have Curtis Warren, KC Drones, Drones over Michigan, Wedging Big. We have John Jackson. We have Private, Danny, Jared Powell, SJ, SJ. We have Retreat Photo, Tim Colton, Debonair, Drones, William Campbell, Danny, Mike Henderson, Javelin Drone Service. There's like 115 of you already on here, so that's awesome. Decon FPV is here. Las Vegas and Henderson Drone Pilots, Carlos Lopez. Anyways, tons of folks. Super 8mm one. Who am I missing in here? Welcome on board. Thanks for having us. In your living room, in your cell phone, iPad, maybe even in your new Apple goggles that you may have wearing on your face right now because they're pretty cool. I see there's questions about the Vision Pro. We'll talk about that in a second. What else was I going to say? Yeah, that's it. Let's talk about the community before we get to the questions. We released our community on Friday. If you haven't seen, you must not be following the YouTube channel. You can find the community for free for all students of Pilot Institute at community.pilotinstitute.com. It's get a lot of people. We doubled the number of people in there today. We sent an email this morning, and now we have a lot of people in there. So many that I can even barely keep up with all the comments and flow of stuff that is happening there. So really excited to be moving away from Facebook. Now, if you missed the announcement, this is a community of its own. It's not on Facebook. We have a large group on Facebook, 22,000 people in one group, 11,000 in another group, and then a few thousand more in two other groups. And it's a pain in the butt. Facebook just doesn't show you the post that we want you to show. Facebook doesn't organize the data. It's one big group with all that information. And it's just like a vomit of information all at once that you cannot search. We cannot integrate it into the course. So we decided to go with a different platform, which is more organized, which is going to have like a ton of different categories on the left. As a matter of fact, here, let's switch over to the community for a second here, so you can see what I'm talking about. Am I good, Ethan? Yep. Okay. So you can see this is the homepage, and then just here on the left, I'm not going to give you a full demo, but just I want to show you what this looks like on the surface. You have notifications in here. You have messages. You can talk to other people. You can see I already have 17 messages that I need to reply to. People have been messaging me as they log in. We have Community 101. It's a mini course. You can learn about like everybody who just joined. You can learn about how to use the community. We have a place where you can introduce yourself. We have news update information. We have a leaderboard that's coming up very soon. We have announcements, so we can make announcements about different products. We have a place where you can share your success. If you pass the exam, if you did something cool, get a new drone. This is the example here. John get a new drone. So sharing your success, graduation list. We have a place where you can sell your gear. If you're a paid member of Pilot Institute, meaning if you paid for a course, then you can sell your gear in here. By the way, this is available to anyone who's enrolled in a Pilot Institute course, whether it's a free course or a paid course. You get access here to the community. Different levels of access depending on what you have, but we have a Part 107 section for those that are Part 107 course members. You can chat with other people. You can see there's a few chats in here that I haven't gotten to today yet. It's been crazy. We have stuff for airplane pilot as well, private. We have stuff for mapping, stuff for photography. You can share your photo, you can share your map, you can ask questions with our industry leading experts that are in here answering questions on a regular basis. We have drone discussions on all the different types of drones, on Part 107, on Lance, on remote ID. We have a big discussion going on, and I'll lead into that in a second. We have state discussion, so you can go in here and pick a state. Now, this is my access, so I have a ton more access than most people in here. But yeah, you can see already in the share your success for UAS, there's already 3,400 people. We hit 4,000 people already today, and there's more people coming in as they learn and as they transition from Facebook into this platform here. I expect we'll have 10,000 in no time and probably 100,000 before the end of the year in here. So I'm really excited about this. We have airplane discussion in here, public safety discussion. We have some premium content eventually that we will have. You're not supposed to see that. And then, yeah, some cool stuff, some links, but that's the community. Join community.pilotinstitute.com. You can see up here, and then it's basically going to take you there. You can log in using your Pilot Institute credential. You don't need to create a new account. As a matter of fact, do not create a new account. If you have one already from being a member or a student, log in with that. It's all linked to Teachable. It's one login for both places, which is cool. So yeah, that's it. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and go back to my questions. But yeah, that's the community. So go in there. We're going to shut down the Facebook groups over time. If you're familiar with our Facebook group, we're going to give it 2 weeks and then slowly move content to the new location. And then from here, yeah, we'll archive the old place. It's still going to be there, just visible. And if you want to go back and look for things, but it's going to be basically archived. Okay, let's get to the question. Are you, William Campbell, let's get started here. Are you aware of any organizations that are lobbying the government for access to national parks? I am not. And this is going to sound controversial for someone who loves flying their drone, but I don't want to see drones in national parks. I don't believe it's the right place for them to be. The last thing that I want to see if I go to a national park is a bunch of drones flying around and yeah, being what I think is a distraction. And I think it would be a big distraction, especially with foreign people that may not be aware of the rules. So I don't think it's going to change anytime soon because national parks, a lot of places, you're not allowed to have any kind of motorized vehicles. A drone would be considered a motorized vehicle, so I don't think it's going to happen. But I'm not aware of anyone doing it. Not something I'm too excited about. Have you tried the Apple Vision Pro? And if so, does it work with DJI drones? That's a good question. Yes, I have tried the Apple Vision Pro. I've tried them all weekend, as a matter of fact. I'm not a tech reviewer, but I'm a tech lover. I've been using these all weekend. I brought them in today to the office. I got them on Friday after we went live with the news with the community, and I spent all evening, playing with them, and it's amazing. Amazing technology that I think is going to change how we do things in the future. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. But if you want the best review that I've seen on these, it's Marquez Brownlee from MKBHD. He just posted a video either yesterday or today where he talks about how this tech is amazing. It's not 100% there yet, but the possibilities are just absolutely crazy. I haven't been this excited, quite frankly, since the introduction of the smartphone with the iPhone. I'm an Apple geek and I've always had Apple gear, but this is the first time in about a decade that I get excited about new tech, and this is it. I've been following VR and AR stuff for a long time. This is my fourth type of goggles. This is our 7th pair of goggles here that we have in the office. We use them for doing airplane training and for doing development. So I wanted to see what this did, but this is cool. Very cool. Anyway, back to the question, because this is not a tech review thing, but we flew a Tello today with it. We just posted the video on YouTube. So go check one of the shorts on the YouTube short on the channel. Don't go right now. Don't leave. Don't leave the stream. Go check them out when you're done. But I was able to fly this thing within minutes, quite frankly. I logged it, I took off, and I was just looking because, this is done with vision only. You look where you want to control and then you pinch. I was able to lock my vision on one of the side, lock it, and then by pinching, I was able to move forward, left and right, have the feed kind of underneath the drone and have the drone flying over and look at the feed, look at the drone at the same time, and then move it forward by just pinching. So you see me doing like a Minority Report kind of thing, moving the thing around. It was just really, really cool to do that. And then from here, we had, I'm trying to figure out how to make it fly with a DJI drone. And it's not happening. at least not at the moment and not directly. The problem is with the DJI drone, you need to plug in the DJI controller into something, into your phone, right? If you have one of the RCN1 controller, you need to plug that via USB into the phone. Well, this thing doesn't have USB, okay? Unless I'm missing it, but I looked everywhere, but there's no USB. There's a beautiful piece of glass in the front that probably has a ton of footprint right now. Fingerprint, not footprint, however. But there's no input for anything. There's the power button on the side here, the power plug, but that's not an input. So no way to plug in the controller. I have an idea, and I'll tell you tomorrow if it works. If it works, you'll see a short on our channel. But I do have an idea of how I can display some of the information in here. It just dawned on me right as we were going live, and we're going to test it tomorrow morning. So, but is it going to be compatible eventually, potentially? Yes, I hope so. This has the potential to bring so much information to augment your experience with a drone. I was telling the team today, imagine you put those goggles on and then you have the ability to see a drone in the distance, and it tells you at what altitude it's at and if it's coming towards you and if it's going to be a factor, or a helicopter coming in the distance. Using ADS-B information, it can tell you exactly where it's at, or maybe a building is in the distance. It tells you how high the building is. It gives you airspace information, augmented reality, right? Augmented information in here. Maybe you're flying and there's a kid coming running to go right underneath your drone. This would say, hey, there's a kid right here. So augmenting your capabilities by telling you, hey, this is like a little assistant for yourself. At this stage, the pass-through on here, pass-through is you being able to see the environment through the goggles, is the best I've seen of all the goggles I've tested ever. But it's still not perfect, meaning that if you put this on, if the drone is a certain distance, you won't be able to see it. And not as much as you would with the naked eye. So I still believe this is something that you should have a visual observer with you if you're going to be using it. It's not vision aiding, I don't think. We've had the discussion in the office. I don't think it's vision aiding yet because it doesn't zoom in. It's not like binoculars. But eventually, I think this is going to be a great tool. Maybe version 2 when they get better camera in it and better everything. But it's just really cool. It's just really, really cool. I'm sorry, I'm not looking at the comments. I'm sure some of you have other questions about the, yeah. Anyways, we'll have more information on this. This is cool on the airplane side of things. There is an app in here to do pre-flight at an airport, to look at an airport in 3D. So I'll be doing, on the airplane channel, I'll be doing a quick review of how we can use this in the airplane world, which could apply to some people in the drone world as well. But anyway, I'm going to stop blabbering about this because I talked about it all day to the team as they were testing it, and it's really neat. Yeah, thank goodness, right? Ben you haven't even tried them on yet. Have you? Why not? Ben is not responding. He doesn't know what to say. He doesn't have a good excuse. Ethan hasn't tried them either. Oh, he's been woodworking all day. We're working on a new set over there, which I'm hoping we can release tomorrow for the first, and this is a challenge for Ethan, he's not going to like it. For the first, we have a happy hour in the community only tomorrow at 4 o'clock, so same time as here today. Ethan says yes, he's got thumbs up. So we're going to be filming on the new set. We've been developing a new set over there, set 8, and I'm excited about this. It's set 9. Where's set 8? Did we skip a generation? Oh, just to piss off Ben. Okay, good. We'll have more stories on that soon. Okay, next question. Just so that I'm clear, as of today, my Mini 4 Pro with the extended battery is FAA Remote ID compliant. Thank you for asking, Engineering Drone Services. So the Mini Saga, which has eaten up a lot of my time between Friday and today. If you have, to answer your question directly, if you have a Mini 4 Pro with the extended battery, then yes, it is Remote ID compliant. So you can fly. It needs to be registered with the FAA and you can fly it. If you have a Mini 4 Pro with a small battery, it is not Remote ID compliant. And if you fly recreationally, you don't need to have Remote ID. Unless the drone is registered, you don't need to have Remote ID. So you're good, but if you fly under Part 107, then you're going to need to comply with remote ID using a module. This is also true of the Mini 3. Mini 3, Mini 4 Pro. The Mini 3 Pro is not affected. So on Friday, I had a meeting with DJI, the higher-ups at DJI, and they basically said that it's a decision because there was a lot of complaints from people that fly recreationally that did not want to broadcast remote ID, and because they don't have to, they were being forced to broadcast. Because the Mini 3 and the Mini 4 Pro, there's only one model, which is the Pro, because the Mini 3 and the Mini 4 Pro are technically consumer-level drones, there's a lot of people that use them for recreational purposes. So they went to please the majority of people, which are recreational pilots. In doing so, they pissed off or upsetted people that fly for Part 107, which in theory is the smaller amount of people. Now, why the Mini 3 Pro is not including in any of this? Because the Mini 3 Pro is the professional version of the Mini 3. There's no Mini 4 and Mini 4 Pro. We only have a Mini 4 Pro. So they made the decision to say Mini 3 and Mini 4 Pro are recreational drones. So we're going to make the change for remote ID, please all the recreational pilots. And then the Mini 3 Pro remains a professional level. So it's going to broadcast remote ID with the small battery or the big battery. I hope this clarifies it. And I hope I said it right. I hope I didn't make a boo-boo. Okay, so here's the kicker. If you have, and this is kind of the worst case scenario, if you're a recreational flyer and you have both batteries and you have a Mini 4 Pro or a Mini 3, if you have both batteries, it means that you need to register the drone because at one point it's over 250 when you fly it with a large battery. If the drone is registered, it means that you need to comply with remote ID always, because if the drone is registered, it means that you need to comply with remote ID. So if you're a recreational pilot and you fly with either batteries or both of them and you have both of them, then when you fly with a smaller battery, you're going to have to broadcast remote ID with a module. And I know it's confusing, and I know it's a pain in the butt, but it is what it is. And I verified that today, kind of down on me, but Yep. Yeah, I think I'm waiting for the comments to pop up after I said that, but I'm going to say it again. If you're a recreational pilot and you own both batteries on those two drones I mentioned, it means you need to register your drone with the FAA. If the drone is registered, even if it's not required to be registered, then you need to comply with remote ID. That's what it says in 89101. So it means that if you're a recreational pilot and you fly with a smaller battery and the drone is registered, you need to have remote ID somehow, and that's going to be with a module. Okay. Fun. And why did that happen, by the way? You might say, well, Greg, last week you talked about the fact that DJI may be doing something illegal because the DOC is for the entire drone. Well, it's not. And that's the kicker that I didn't know about, that I think nobody knew about except DJI, is they made an amendment to the DOC or approval on the DOC website. If you go, actually, Ethan, can you show my screen again? I'm going to show you here the DJI Mini 3. Let's just do Mini 3. So you see here for the Mini 3, there is a -1 at the end. Now, granted, there is one for the Pro as well, but there's a -1 right here at the end. It means that it was amended. It means that DJI went in and amended the Declaration of Compliance. In this amendment, which we cannot verify, but it's true, in this amendment, they only include the Mini 3 with the larger battery. So this DOC approval here is only valid if you have a Mini 3 with a bigger battery. If you don't have one, this DOC doesn't apply, which means that, well, the drone is not remote ID compliant with the smaller battery. I know it's complicated, it's legalese, it's a pain in the butt, There's nothing the FAA can do about it because it's stuff that was mandated by Congress for them to do. There's nothing DJI can do because they're following the regulation, which was mandated by Congress. So if you got to be mad at someone, don't be mad at DJI. Don't be mad at the FAA. Be mad at Congress, which is not hard to do. Okay, fun. Ben, what do you say? You're hiding over there like you're going to say something.
I was just going to say, we had talked about possibly putting out a video on that.
Yes.
Because it is a little bit confusing.
Yep.
So we might actually be making a video on the Mini 3, Mini 4
Yep.
update that happened, and you might see that in the next week or two as
Yep.
well.
I'm waiting for one more phone call that I'm hopefully getting tomorrow before I put out the video, because it's going to be, I want it to be like no questions asked. You watch this and you understand everything, but I want to make sure I put out correct information, because unfortunately, because I didn't have all the information, I said things wrong. And I hate saying things wrong because it confuses even more people. So I apologize if I said things wrong, but the Mini 3 Pro is not covered under any of this, only the 3 and the 4 Pro. And I got confirmation today from DJI, from the higher ups. Good times. Vic and I have been talking about this morning. We talked with Vic all afternoon on Friday. Yep, we all make mistakes. It happens. And unfortunately, it's mistakes because we don't have all the information and we get it as it unfolds. So you can only make decisions on the information that you have. Okay. John Jackson says, can you recap again, if you have one drone registered under recreational flyer and only one drone, then you don't have to unregister and re-register it under Part 107. That is correct. That is correct, unless you get multiple drone. That is correct. That's also because the FAA is going to think I'm dumping on them. It's because of the way the drone zone has been built, the FAA website. The registration is a Part 48 registration. It's a single registration for the drone. It's just that it gets complicated when you have more than one drone, because each drone needs to have their own registration number. So in that case, what they did is they built two sides, which is really the only way to do it. Again, get mad at Congress. So they had to build two sites to do it. But yes, it is correct. If you only have one drone, you buy it, you register it under recreational purposes, you can use that registration to fly under Part 107 because it's a registration. As far as the FAA is concerned, Part 48, a registration is a registration. And but it gets complicated when you add one more drone to the mix. Under recreational rules, you can use the same registration number. Under Part 107, you have to use two registration numbers. So now you have to register these drones individually. Complicated. Next, with more and more anti-drone laws and regulation being put in place, what do you suggest to reverse some of these decisions to allow us to fly freely? We're trying, Mike. We're fighting. Trust me. It's sometimes it feels like we get swamped. Like 2 weeks ago, that's why we did the news update, Government Gone Wild edition, because all of a sudden they're all submitting their stupid rules at the same time, and some of them don't make any sense. And it's a full-time job, quite frankly. Like, I don't know how Vic does it. Vic has been helping us with the Drone Service Provider Alliance, and he contacts a lot of these municipalities and states and everything. We work with the DAA. The DAA does the same thing. And it's just a damn full-time job to keep track of these things. And obviously, we have other things to do. I don't want to be spending my time tracking stupid drone rules from people that have no idea what they're doing. So, yeah, we try. Trust me. Danny says, I understand the requirement for Part 107. My question is whether or not the Mini 3, Mini 4 are still broadcasting remote ID. I think I covered that answer, Danny, with what I just said. Under Part 107, if you have the Mini 3 or the 4 Pro and you fly with a smaller battery, you're going to need to get a module as well. Now I'm going to stop there. Okay, I have my drone registered under my Part 107 in my recreational account. If I want to fly this drone recreationally, do I need to make sure it stays on my recreational account as well, or only 107? It's okay if it's only under 107. Technically, we have a Part 107 account. We have a recreational account on our account, but we have nothing under there. But if I ever wanted to fly that drone recreationally, it is registered. That's what I just said. It's a Part 48 registration. It's under the 107 side. But if you actually look at your certificate of registration that the FAA gives you, that you print from the website, there's no Part 107 or 44809 notification on there at all. It's just a registration. That's the hint right there. Next, I have my drone registered. No, I just said that. Drone over Michigan with Randy Morgan says in PI 107 course, there's a question that says a pilot is approaching the airport at a 45-degree angle downwind. What direction? My question is, how can you tell the wind direction is in the practice exam? You don't have, in this case, Randy, you don't have to answer. You don't have to figure out where the wind is coming. Well, that's not. I don't remember the question exactly. There's a windsock indicator, I'm pretty sure, on that question that shows you where the wind is coming from. And yeah. And then if you go look in the course, I talk about how to determine the downwind. An airplane is always going to land into the wind. And so when you look at the windsock, it should indicate you in which direction. The question is directly below it. Oh, while monitoring the Cooperstown CTAF, you hear. Oh, yeah. Okay. So here you don't need to know the wind because it tells you already that they're landing on runway 13. So yeah, the question is, while monitoring the Cooperstown CTAF, you hear an aircraft announce that they are midfield left downwind for runway 13. So you just need to identify which one is runway 13. So if you follow what I teach you in the course, you should be able to identify. Remember, runway 13 means that when you're lining up to land on runway 13, your heading is 130, which is kind of like south-ish, southeast-ish. And so in that case, if you have a midfield left downwind, you're going to be coming from the northeast, making a left turn to land onto runway 13 with heading of kind of southwest. Okay, Las Vegas and Henderson Drone Pilot says, are you and your team coming to the Las Vegas drone meetup in November? Yes, we are planning on doing that. I've been talking to names. Oh, he's going to be mad. He came to visit us. Sorry. Yes, we will be going to the meetup. Robert Johnston says, as a drone pilot, why do I need to know how to fly a manned aircraft, all the compass heading in field coordination, etc.? You don't, but you need to understand what compass heading is because it's called situational awareness. If you are flying close to an airport and you hear somebody says, I'm in the midfield left downwind for runway 13, you need to understand what that means. And the way that you understand that is by understanding cardinal directions. If you were to ever talk to a controller and the controller has to call you and said, at 2 o'clock, you've got traffic, pay attention, then you need to be able to understand what that means. So we have to teach you some of the manned aircraft lingo because it is something that is going to become a necessity eventually. It sounds like it's too much, but trust me, this bit is definitely not something you want to skip. Questions: are my expo settings different in all 3 speed modes? No. The settings don't change with the modes. The only time they change is when you switch between photo and video, but not the normal sport and tripod or cine mode. Oh, the EXP settings. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yes, those change. The EXP settings, the expo, I was thinking exposition, exposure setting, thinking the f-stop and shutter speed and all that. The camera settings, let's put it in this way, the camera settings don't change. The EXP settings, yes, will change, meaning that how the throttle responds and how your ailerons and your all that elevator changes, that's going to change depending on those. Yes, in some drones you can modify those. Not all. Expo, not exposure. Yes, thank you, Vic. And thank you, Ethan. If I register my drone under Part 107, can I fly for recreation without registering for recreation? Yes, I think I mentioned that earlier. Same question, absolutely. Christoph Pierce says, hello, any thought on which would be better between the Air 2S and the Mini 3 Pro? Tough. I simply need a drone that can map and keep me current with my 107. That would be a replacement for my Parrot NFE. Neither the Air 2S or the Mini 3 Pro are mapping drones. If anything, I hate to say it this way, the Air 2S is getting older. There's already a new model. Even though it's a great drone, I would always recommend getting the more recent drone, especially in this case. You're not losing anything in quality. We've tested both of these. The Mini 3 Pro might be a little bit sharper than the Air 2S. Don't get me wrong, the Air 2S was my favorite drone for the longest time, so it's a great platform. In this case, I would probably say that. For mapping, neither of these drones are designed for mapping, so you'll have to do mapping manually. You won't really be able to pre-program anything into the drone. Cascade Drone Services says, if we aren't allowed to use lights to enhance visibility of a drone and extend VLOS, how do you keep your drone in VLOS at night, assuming that you weren't supposed to be using the strobes for that? Very difficult. The visibility at night is technically, the VLOS at night is going to be extremely limited. And that's how it is with the way that regulation was written. Big Papafoot Reviews says, I want to know what Big Papafoot reviews. What do you think he reviews? Or she? Or Papa, I guess.
He said that he has the third biggest foot in the world.
Is the big...
24.
Really?
Yeah,
Where did you see that?
in the comments.
Really? That's
6'10".
no, that's awesome. Big Papafoot Reviews. That's awesome. That's cool. I was wondering if there is a police scene. I guess if he ever comes into any of the trade shows, we'll know exactly who he is very quickly. I was wondering if there's a police scene, car accident, or house. Can you fly your drone above or near if you're not in the way and below 400 feet? If you're not in the way, so I would say be careful with this, especially with a car accident or if there's something going on at a house. If it's a house fire, the emergency folks might be flying drones and you might be interfering with their operation, which is not cool. If it's a car accident, there could be a helicopter that's trying to get to the scene to get people evacuated. I would not do it. Okay, I would not do it. I know people are very curious, but if they spot a drone in the area with a helicopter, they will not land, which means that you're preventing someone from getting crucial life-saving services that you could literally put somebody's life in danger by doing that. So I wouldn't do it. Okay. Paul is saying, would I be breaking the rules if I hooked my drone up to a big balloon tethered to a string and let it take the drone up for a shot of the Grand Canyon? Sarcasm, but I'd love to capture the Grand Canyon. Actually, you wouldn't. Now, we have to read the rules for a balloon because balloons are covered under Part 101, and I don't know if they're allowed in national parks, to and from national parks. So that's the only caveat. But your drone, by the way, if it's not flying by its own lift from the propellers, if the propellers are not lifting, it's not a drone, it's a camera. So yep, as long as flying a big balloon tethered to a cable is allowed in the Grand Canyon, then you could totally put your drone in there as long as it's not powered and spinning. Falcon Aerial Imagery would saying commercial operation Part 107 in class Bravo airspace, pre-authorization 200 feet. What if I can't get pre-authorization, lens not responding, but I fly and complete the mission under 200 feet? Is that a violation, risking fine? I mean, technically it's a violation because prior to entering controlled airspace, you need to have authorization as per 107 something, 50 or 40 something. So you would be breaking the regulation of not getting airspace approval prior to getting in there. Some would argue that Lance is somewhat useless in a way because if you're already approved to get there and you can get authorization within seconds, it means nobody is verifying. They're just giving you approval. So, what does that do? Well, what it does, it gives you, it satisfies the regulation in Part 107. So would it be dangerous? I would argue it's not. Is it against the regulation? Yes, it is. Would you be risking a big fine? Probably not, but I wouldn't, especially in Class Bravo airspace, I wouldn't make a habit out of it. It doesn't sound like you would be. But if lens is not working correctly, yeah. I mean, if lens wasn't working correctly, the FAA would say don't fly. But yeah, so First time hearing of a new Apple device. Is it just an Oculus with a fruit logo? It is so far so much more than that. But I know I'm a fanboy, so. But no, the Vision Pro is way more than Oculus. I have 3 models of Oculus. I have 6 pairs of Oculus glasses, 3 different models, including the expensive one and the latest one, the Quest 3, the Quest Pro, and the Quest 2. The Quest Pro is to me the best one that they have. It's like comparing BlackBerry with an iPhone back in the days when the iPhone came out. That's the jump in technology that we've seen here with these 2 devices. But I'm sure people that don't like Apple and call it the fruit logo probably will say that. Ben?
So, Greg, as he's pointed out, is definitely a fan of these goggles, and you may not be able to see it because he's already been through makeup, but when he showed up to work today...
No, I did not. Oh, you did? Oh, from the goggles? Yeah. And by the way, Ben, I do not go through makeup. There is no makeup here. Oh, and I need to dispel this myth that I'm... there was a comment on one of our Facebook groups. People were asking where I was from, which was funny. And then somebody mentioned how old Greg was. And then I think one time during this live, I joked that I was 75 years old or 80 years old. And I think people believe that. I am not 80 years old, folks. I'm not 80 years old. Because somebody mentioned Greg is 37 or 34. And somebody said, no, he's twice that. Pretty seriously. I'm not. I'm not twice 34 years old. I'm older than 34, but I'm not twice 34. So, are you sure about that? Yeah, I wish. I mean, heck, I wish I was 80 and looking like this. Or, but yeah, would be pretty cool. Okay. Fun. We got sidetracked here. If I had my 107 and I get one of the remote drop things from my drone and I accidentally drop a water balloon on an FA agent, am I in trouble? Probably. 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 Sure about that? I would not do it. Or make sure, no, don't do it. Can I fly above houses in my neighborhood, uncontrolled airspace, when there is no person walking around? Don't see a problem with that, as long as you maintain visual line of sight and there's no, uncontrolled airspace. Len says, we are hoping to have a basic drone EXO on every shift for team to quickly establish preliminary status of a situation to see if we need to deploy a higher level drone with FLIR. Okay? I don't see a problem. I don't see a question, but I think it's a good idea. Cheap drone, send it up, see what's going on. My only question would be, why not deploy the big drone immediately? You might be saving precious minutes. There's no real cost associated in getting the higher level drone. It might take longer to set up, so it might be a good idea to have somebody flying up with the EXO drone to find out what's going on, and then to quickly, have somebody else set up the FLIR drone, and if it's needed, then, send it right away. Paul says, do you happen to know how many FAA registration stickers Pilot Institute has given? The answer is yes, over 33,000 as of today. Jason just gave me the number. We passed 30,000 not too long ago, and with the success of Before You Fly, well, not Before You Fly anymore, Air Aware, we've had a big jump as well of people asking. With the new year, we had a big jump, so we're at 33,000. Now, mind you, we were only going to give 10,000. So now we're triple what we said we were going to do, but we're going to continue doing it. It's not cheap, I can tell you that, but it's a great thing for the community. So we're going to keep doing that. If a recreational pilot flies the sub 250 gram without remote ID, are they required to fly inside of a FRIA? No. Recreational pilots are exempt from remote ID with a drone under 250 grams. And it can fly anywhere. But they have to follow all the other rules. Let me be clear. Skyview says, I got a DJI Air 2S Anything I need to know about it? Yeah, you need to go to our free Air2S deep dive. I'm going to put a link. I'm sure Jason probably has done that already. Nope, that's not it. Oh, I have shortcuts for everything. That's awesome. There you go. Air2S deep dive right here, available. And watch that before you do anything. That's going to tell you all you need to know. Jared, how many questions do we have here? Holy crap. Okay, still a lot. Jared says, I have a Mini 2 SE that is registered, recreational. I'm getting the Air 3. Will I need a different registration number for the Air 3 when I register it under Part 107, or will I be using the same registration number? So you do need a new registration because you have more than one drone. So in this case, yes, you would need a new Part 107 registration for the Air 3. And you can keep the other one on the Mini 2 SE. Chevy Lifestyles is, if you take the written course for private pilot, does that also cover 107? It does not. Also, how long do I have to complete the flying portion to stay current for private pilot? Thank you. So, 2 questions. Private pilot, different than Part 107, different test, different content, although some overlaps. So no, you will not find the same information. As far as private pilot, once you take the written exam for private pilot, you have 2 years to take the actual exam, 24 calendar months to take the test with a designated pilot examiner and get your certificate. Engineered drone services. Last question for today for me. Sorry, I'm a stickler for details. Earlier you said the happy hour on the news stage tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Would that be 6 p.m. again in Boston? Yes, it is 6 p.m. on the East Coast, 4 p.m. Arizona time. I need to mention that more often. 3 p.m. if you're in California on the West Coast. Okay. Rumbum says, are there currently any over-the-counter Category 1 drone for OOP other than a Mini with the Japanese lightweight batteries? Or is there any talk from manufacturers planning to produce such a drone? No, there is no, there are over-the-counter drones that are Category 1. Are any of them worthy of doing anything with it as far as content? Not that I know of. So there are some cheap drones that are technically Category 1. I mean, heck, this is a Category 1 drone right here from DJI. That's the Tello. They don't sell this anymore, but the Tello is a Category 1 drone. It's got prop guards. It's sub 250. You can fly it over people. Is it something that you would get footage for? No. You'd get good footage if you get a short and you do it with these things, but otherwise, no. So, no, unfortunately. Maybe people have other recommendations in here. Oh, wait, I see Cookie in the chat. What does it say? Dude, I literally look across and I see Crumble Cookie. So Javelin Drone Services has been mentioning Crumble a lot over the last few weeks. I wonder if they work for Crumble or if they have Crumble stock. No? I figured I'd bring this up again. I'm sad to say I still haven't tried. Well, you know what? Javelin Drone Services, I think you should send your mailing address to Ben, and Ben is going to send you over a nice box of Crumble cookies straight to your house.
Do you have audio this time? Okay. My suggestion is you come visit us in Prescott, Arizona, and I promise you that if you do come to visit us in Prescott, Arizona,
Ben is going to get...
will buy Crumble from the office, and we will share it with you.
Oh, he says, really?
That's promise. Promise.
I think I accidentally had Ben muted. He said that if you come visit, Greg will buy Crumble.
For the office. And we'll share it with you for sure.
Oh, it says no, you cut out. Okay, you repeated it.
That was
I
my
think.
fault.
There's a bit of a delay, I think. So they'll get that on the second one. Okay. Yeah, we can do that. And then you know what? Anybody who comes visit, that's going to be the new rule. Anybody who comes visit, no. Anybody who comes visit, they have to show up with Crumble in their hands. Otherwise, they're not let in. That's the secret password. So, right? Do you agree with that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Okay. All right. New deal. He says deal. There you go. Oh, William Young says he'll be here tomorrow. Shit, I think we're going to get fat out of this. Or diabetes or something. Oh, that's not good. Big Papa Foot says, I review flashlights for anyone wondering. I need help figuring out the best ISO and settings to see the beam, the best from high above. The best ISO is going to be a high ISO for this. That's cool. I know Jason would love to be your friend because Jason is kind of a flashlight aficionado. Oh, and so is Ethan. That's right. These guys always have flashlights. Okay, how long does studying for the Part 107 take on average? Average 2 to 3 weeks is what our students are reporting. Now, some people are going to say, oh, I studied for 2 days and I passed. We're aiming for people to learn something along the way, not just take a test and get 70 and actually be members of the community afterwards. So 2 to 3 weeks is a good average. You can do it quicker. Some people do it in a week or 2 weeks. William Young says, Greg, what area of this profession would you suggest for new people just starting out? I'm sure you have answered this 1,000 times already. And what drone to go with said area? I mean, there's not a single area where you should start. The area that you should go into is the area where you have some background already and some skills. And I know it's not answering your question directly, but there are so many different verticals of things. And I don't know your background. Maybe you're a home inspector. And so going into adding drones into a home inspection service is the way to do it. Or if you do, I don't know what you guys are doing back there, but it looks funny. If you go into, maybe you have some photography background. So in this case, maybe doing this for photography business, doing weddings, doing photography, landscape photography, and selling your photos, or maybe going into real estate photography, or maybe you have a construction background and you can bring some expertise into doing mapping. So there's a lot of different ways, but I always recommend people go into something that they're interested in, good at, have a background into. That would be the major thing. So that's what I'm going to say about that. What are you guys doing back there? Okay. I see Bigfoot over there. It's not Big Papa Foot. It's just Bigfoot. Skybras. Hey, is that Bobby? Bobby, why is everyone from Pilot Institute so handsome? Except for...
It's because of our hair and makeup team. That's why.
I'm repping Skybrows today.
That's true. You've been wearing that hat all day. So that's Bobby. Bobby is Bobby Ouyang from Skybrows, who do very cool stuff for mapping. We were just talking about mapping. Go check them out. Skybrows, sky with an E, browse.com. We also have a free course on our platform. Red Dog says, Greg, any word on forward compatibility with the DJI RC Pro? No, I don't know what. I don't know if there is any changes in compatibility. It's quite complex these days to keep track of what controller is compatible with what. Where we made an article recently on our website that has all of these compatibilities, and we're going to keep it updated, but holy smokes, it's a lot. Red said, I just passed the test. Roughly how long does it usually take to receive the card? 30 to 40 days is what people have been reporting. Sky Curtain says, how much faster does the battery drain when the Firehouse Arc 5 is attached to the Mini? Not that much faster. I think the Firehouse is 14 grams. We haven't really noticed that big of a difference. Maybe other people have, but... Ooh. Excuse me. I spent too much time playing with the Apple goggles this weekend. Didn't sleep. Thorol Inspired says, can you do a video on drone insurance companies? Yeah, good idea, actually. That is a great idea. We have recommendations for drone companies, for insurance companies in the drone business course. But yeah, that's a good idea. One of your videos that featured a person demonstrating software that tracked drone using, not using remote ID. Why is this not good enough for the FAA and others that think they need this info? So the video that you're talking about is demonstrating a DJI product, which is no longer for sale. I'm trying to find the name of it. We talked about this last week. I'm terrible with names, brand names, people's names. Anyways, Vic will find it in the review as soon as the feed comes through. It's a DJI product that detects DJI drones. So Aeroscope, thank you. DJI Aeroscope. So Aeroscope was the product itself. By the time we made that video, that product had been out for like 5 or 6 years. It was the precursor to remote ID because it worked on the information that was in the DJI drone, and that was set up to become eventually remote ID. Even DJI called it remote ID before we had this term come through the regulation. So it was the reason why it's not good enough for the FAA and other people is because it only applies to one brand of drone. Granted, it's 70-80% of all the drones, but that's the reason why they didn't go with that. But that technology very much spilled over what we know remote ID to be today. And when we made the video back then, I titled the video, "Is this what remote ID is going to be like?" Because to me, it looked exactly like what was proposed to become remote ID. So yeah. Next, Rafa says, "I'm getting my FA 107 by the end of the month. I'd love to do real estate roof inspection for the photogrammetry. What would make your perfect setup for this?" Personally, photogrammetry, if you're going to do that, and roof inspection, I would get a thermal drone. I would get the Mavic 3 thermal, or I would get the Autel Evo 2 640 640 thermal. Just the two best drones that you have out there for the price. TDB, not TBD, TDB says, "If you could clarify for me, as a recreational drone pilot, can I fly drones above 250 grams without a 107 as long as it is registered?" Yes, you can. Also, do I have to register each drone individually? No. Recreationally, you only need one drone if they are over 250 grams. David says, "Would you recommend a DJI without RC2 to use for..." Well, hold on. Stuff is moving around. "Would you recommend a DJI without RC2 to use for more than recreational use, mapping, etc., since you cannot load onto the remote?" Here's the kicker. None of the drones that work with the RC2 are going to be... You're going to be able... Let's do that again. The drones that work with the RC2, you're not going to be able to use them for mapping because you're not going to be able to load up any software into the remote. But it doesn't matter, and that's what you said. You cannot load anything onto the remote. It doesn't matter because these drones are not really designed to do mapping. So even if you control them with a cell phone, you still can't control them because there is no SDK for these drones. I hope I made sense. Sorry, I kind of stumbled my words here. Mark says, "Damn, has it really been an hour already? That's crazy. I wanted to show you guys another drone here that's been sitting there." Okay, let's stop taking questions for now. Yeah, Jason put the end of the show. I'm going to answer these questions quickly, and I want to show you a cool drone that we have right here. So recreational pilot with a Mini 4. Let me actually do something real quick here. Let me read that question and I'll answer. A recreational pilot with a Mini 4 standard battery, the small battery I'm guessing, flies at night with a beacon, is overweight, needs registration and a remote ID module, and has to be registered. And the answer to that question is...
We're making a video on it.
Yes. Well, we're making a video on it, but yes, the answer would be yes. You would need to have... You would technically need to have a remote ID. Wait, a recreational pilot. You definitely need to have a remote ID module on it. Now the question is, does it need to be registered? So let me think about that. Yes, it would need to be registered as well. Yes, I don't know why I'm stumbling on that. It needs to be registered and needs a remote ID module. TN Rider says, "At some point will AirAware have downloadable maps for those of us?" Yes, we're adding this into the list of features that we want to add later on. "What is your opinion on ADS-B receivers on drones for situational awareness? Do you think they will move into lower priced drones. DJI has said that they would have ADS-B receivers in all of their drones over 250 grams. I don't see them moving into lower priced drones, but I do love the idea of having those for situational awareness. Now, I do need to say a caveat on this: not perfect, not 100% situation, not 100% bulletproof, because some aircraft don't have ADS-B. Is there any hope that with DoD controlled airports we might ever be able to use Lance to reserve airspace permission? Actually, Craig, I don't know the answer to that. I really hope so, but I'm not sure the reason why Lance is not there in the first place. So I'd have to dig a little bit more on that. That's a great question, actually. When do you think we'll get BVLOS? We can get BVLOS now. What do you think the rules will look like? I don't want to speculate just yet. I think there's been recommendations from various groups on how to do BVLOS in the future. Those are just recommendations from the Drone Advisory Committee. It's difficult. I think there's a lot of things at play. And then we're running out of time. It's kind of a long question, but there is, maybe we need to do a extended news update on this topic. Sky Curtain says, will you be making a how to read NOTAMs video? We've been talking about doing this. I think it's on our list of videos to make. If you're in our Part 107 course, I do talk about how to read that there, but yeah, it's not an easy thing. Jared says, is the Air 3 a good drone for professional commercial work? Yes, absolutely. Air 3 is probably the best drone you can buy for the money today. Been flying a Mavic 3 thermal for a fire department. Any advice on keeping batteries fully charged? I've been rotating and topping off the batteries each month. That's really the way to do it. They have a way to put them in hibernation mode, which is also good for the batteries if you don't use them for a while. But don't charge them every day. But if you know you're going to be using them, I'm guessing as a fire department, you might want to charge them every day so they're ready to go after that. But yeah, that's where we're at. Okay, we have 3 more minutes. So I want to say a big thank you to one of our students. His name is Sean. I don't know if he wants me to say his full name, so I'm just going to say his name is Sean. But Sean sent us. Damn it. Looks like a frog from up here. Sean sent us the new Japanese Soten drone that we've been talking about. Now, in one of the news updates, we talked about the Soten being like a DJI mini drone equivalent or competitor. And we said that it was $10,000. Well, it turns out it is not a mini competitor. It's huge. And so we were surprised. We opened this thing up and I was like, what the heck is this? So this is the Soten right here. We did not get a chance to fly it today. We're going to fly it tomorrow. But this thing is pretty massive. So here it is. This is actually, look at that. Okay. So it is NDAA compliant. It is from Japan. And it's got cover right on top right here. The construction at first sight, I haven't really spent a whole lot of time looking at it. We've been literally, the day today has flown. I got here at 7 and it's already 5 o'clock and I have no idea what the day went. It's flown by. Pachung. Well, you know what? I'm not going to mess with it because I can't take the cover off and I don't want to force on the gimbal. So, but yeah, here it is. So it's called the, it's made by, I think it's made by ACSL and it's called a Soten. Yep, there it is. And there's a controller in here. Yeah, it's huge. Can you see how big it is on the feed? Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And this is the controller for it. Not really a controller that we've seen before. It looks like kind of the older version of the controller from the Mavic, the original Mavic, if you guys remember. But it's much beefier. It's heavy. It feels like super solid. There's a screen on the inside here where you can play Tetris. And just kidding. It looks like the original Nintendo, the Game Boy controller. And then here's the battery. There's a big battery right here. So we'll be testing this. And here's the propellers right here. Props are pretty big. So yeah, compare to my face. So yeah, we'll be putting that to the test. We'll let you guys know what we think about it. Probably not a drone for recreational users because of the price, but an NDAA compliant drone nonetheless, and might be a competitor to other NDAA compliant drones like Skydio and Parrot and whatever the other ones are. But yeah, there you go. Is that aircraft aluminum? No, it is plastic. It's kind of a gray plastic. Looks like a retro drone. Yeah, it does kind of look like a retro actually. Like a transformer. It's very edgy. It's like very sharp edges everywhere. So yeah, we'll let you know how that flies. Apparently, they've been around for a while. IP rating, I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong thing. If I remember correctly from the news update, maybe IP55, but we'll let you know. We'll do that in the full thing. Control looks so outdated. Looks chunky. It is pretty chunky, but we'll see. We'll see. It's got Yamaha motor design. It says on here on the side, so it's got to be fast. When? All right, folks. I think that's all we have for now. I hear. Oh no! Stop! Go away! Go away! That's it. That's all we have for right now. We'll see you on tomorrow. Please join in the new community. 4 p.m. We have happy hour at 4 o'clock. Arizona time. No pina coladas for you, Ben. All for me. And yeah, we'll be talking. We have happy hour tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I'm doing the whole week this week to kick off the community. Come answer your questions. I'll bring you on board. You can even turn on your camera, ask questions, chit chat. We'll talk about anything and everything. It's designed for the community, but yeah, we'll just make it kind of relax and yeah, come chit chat. All right, that's it. We'll see you next time, tomorrow. Bye-bye. But otherwise, when you have a conversation with people, you don't say, hey, Ben, hey, Ethan, hey, whatever. Who gives a shit? But otherwise, when you have a conversation with people, you don't say,